حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Today we are at the end of, coming to an end of the lunar calendar, the month of the Hijjah. And on a personal note, it also comes as an end of a journey for myself, as I will be leaving Champaign-Urbana in about a week, inshallah, to move on to Boston for the next chapter of my life. And so as I was thinking about what topic to discuss today with everyone in the Friday prayer, I thought I'd take a couple of minutes to reflect back on my time here in this community, Urbana Champaign, the masjid, as well as look forward and give a couple of pieces of advice to remind myself first and foremost and everyone here. So I'll first begin by talking about my own journey, my story here in this community. And I came here about 9 years ago, around this time, as an incoming PhD student. And when I first arrived, I arrived at the Willard Airport, right in town here. And I got a taxi that was going to take me to the computer science building to meet with some professors and talk and see if I wanted to attend the university or not. And the person who was driving the taxi was actually a brother, a Moroccan brother from this community. And so we started to chat. And he told me, oh, there's actually a masjid in this community, this one right here. So let me just swing by and show you. So literally on his way, he basically came in here, went around the parking lot, and we were just talking, and then went and took me to the computer science building. So that was my first interaction with any community member here, and any person here in this community. Eventually, I accepted the offer and I came here for a PhD. And I visited with my father to find a place to stay, and we were looking around and we found a place. And then we decided to come and play Maghrib here in the masjid. So we came here for Maghrib. Of course, it wasn't very crowded when we arrived. We actually came a little bit early, about 30 minutes before the time for Maghrib. So it was actually very empty. So we sat down to pray our sunnah, and while we were just sitting down, a sister came and opened that door. And just, it's only me and my father, and she just asked, Assalamu alaikum, I noticed that you guys are new here. Is there anything you need? And that was the entire interaction. We basically just said, no, we're good, we're just waiting for nothing. And she just basically told us that if you guys need anything, just let me know. She told us her name, and she went back to the woman and so on. And I still remember, and I even thanked the sister today. I still remember this moment 9 years ago when she came and introduced herself to us and told us if we wanted anything or needed anything. And so time went by, and about a year or 2 years into to my PhD while I'm here in Champaign, my name was added to the Khatib list somehow. And so I had to stand up and give a khutbah, which was a new experience for me. So I was coached up. I prepared my khutbah 4 weeks in advance. I prepared it and practiced it. And alhamdulillah, I gave it, and the topic was on being thankful. And alhamdulillah, I think it went well. And the reason why I think it went well was because a few weeks later, I proposed to get married, and I didn't know at the time, but my father-in-law was actually in the khutbah, and he said, having heard your khutbah, I totally don't mind you marrying my daughter. So, alhamdulillah, I believe that khutbah was really successful with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, I entered the community, came here for my studies, alhamdulillah, got married, gave a khutbah, alhamdulillah, have 2 children. And now, coming towards the end of my journey, alhamdulillah, I finished my PhD and going on to the postdoc out of town. And I was just reflecting upon all of this and thinking about what is it that made this community so special in my life. I spent almost a third of my life here, about 10 years. And this community is very special and it has a lot of unique characteristics. So what are these unique characteristics that I really enjoy? Everyone has their own stories. Some of them are positive, maybe some are not so positive. But what can we do in order to make sure that whoever passes through this community has similar positive experiences? And it just so happens that this is a college town, so a lot of people come and go. You have the undergraduates who come in 4 years or 5 years, and then they leave town. Graduate students roughly the same time period, people that settle here. But a lot of people come through this town, come through this community, call the masjid their home, call the masjid their community, and then they leave and a new set of people come after. So what is it that is already in this community, the good, positive stuff that we need to keep improving on and making sure stay and stick? And what are some things looking forward that we can do to make sure it's a better community for everyone who comes after us? So I'm just one individual with one story, but a lot of people are going to come through this town in the future, and they're going to call this place home. So how do we ensure that this is also a home for future generations? So in the few minutes I have here with everyone, I thought I'd distill this into 3 pieces of advice. Mostly for myself, it's kind of reflection on what I think works very well and what wouldn't work very well. But inshallah, I encourage everyone to take these 3 points and extend on them however you see it. So we all know that the importance of community in Islam. In fact, everyone here who's coming here for the Friday prayer knows that it's a faridah to come to this communal prayer. We all come here once a week, as a requirement, as men is required, to come here and listen to the Khatib give a small talk, a small reminder, before going back and enjoying and doing whatever it is that you have to do for your day-to-day lives. So this is a very important part of your week and of your life, this communal event, one in which, in this case, it's one person standing up here and giving advice or reminders. And as a community member, what does that mean? What do you have that you can do in your control to also give that and make this a place that other people can enjoy too? So the first piece of advice that I have, the first piece of reflection, is that a community is only as good as its individual members. What does this mean? It means in order for us to have the best community out there, we have to be the best versions of ourselves. And there's a lot of different axes across which we have to be the best people, the best person, the best version of ourselves. We have to be the best students, we have to be the best Muslims, we have to be the best citizens, we have to be the best humans. We have to have the best of manners. This is, by being the best versions of ourselves, collectively we make this the best community for anyone who can come in and learn and benefit from a similar experience. And to that point, when you are the best version of yourself, then we know the hadith, we know the words of the Prophet ﷺ, that if you find something that is not right, or something that needs to be improved, then the first thing you should do is, if you can change it, you should change it. And so this is a very important concept in the community where something is broken, if something needs fixing, and you have the capability and ability to change it, you should go and change it. Of course, you should do an ecosystem check and understand the constraints of how things work in the community, what you need to do, and go through the right channels. But the idea is that if you have the ability to change it, and you can change it, you should change things for the better. But if you can't, the second thing that you want to do is at least talk about it. Find the right channels to communicate something that you either find a concern or something that you want to improve upon. So not everything is bad. Some things maybe they're just missing activities, missing program that you want to introduce into the community. And if you can't take the initiative, either you don't have the time or you might not be the right person with the right skill set, you can at least start a dialogue, start a conversation in order to nudge it into the right direction. Third, if you can't even talk about it for whatever reason, then you can at least feel for the cause and identify that there is an issue here. You either feel for it towards it, maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help mitigate this issue or improve the situation, and this is the lowest form of that. But the high level point is that in order to have a good community, you want to improve on yourself and make yourself the best version of yourself. When you see something, if you want to improve it, go about it in the right channel, in the right direction, and there's different ways to go about this. The second piece of advice that I have for myself and for everyone is that we have to have a mind shift where rather than thinking, especially as students here, where a lot of people, they're coming into the university to focus on their studies and their individual studies, the mind shift is thinking of the collective and the entire community as a sum of individual parts. So rather than thinking of individual benefits, or what will this benefit me individually, how or what is it that can help more people, more collectively in the entire community? And you'd be surprised, this isn't actually a zero-sum game. It's not that if you do something, you're gaining and someone else is losing, or if someone gains, you lose. In a community, when one person gains, everyone collectively gains. We know that hadith of Prophet said the human ummah is the ummah, the Muslim ummah is like a human body. If one person partakes, the rest of the body gains as well. So we're a collective body. When one part is in pain, we all kind of go toward it to try to help it. When something is happy, when something is good, we all celebrate together. And so this is an important mind shift that, especially in this day and age when a lot of people, when a lot of things are materialistic or individualistic, we have to keep in mind the importance of the entire community and striving toward global and community goal rather than just striving towards one individual. I wanted to give one example for this specific point about thinking of the community. It actually happened here a few years ago. One of the initiatives the brothers started during Ramadan. So in Ramadan we have the iftar together where we break our fast and we all eat together. And one of the brothers started an initiative, and we called it the Green Ramadan, the Green Iftar, where the purpose was to reduce waste. So whenever we had iftar, there's a lot of wasted food, there's a lot of utensils, paper plates, and all these things that were going to waste. And so this brother cared deeply about not wasting. It's a very Islamic and very humanitarian thing that you don't want to waste to improve the global planet and so on. And so in his own house, he would always take care to wash dishes and not to exceed what he has to eat and so on and so forth. But he also thought about this at a communal level and said, why don't we as a group, as a community, reduce the waste that we are doing in the house today? And so he collected a group of brothers, there's a group of sisters that also helped, and we had the Green Ramadan initiative where we would measure how much food is being wasted on a day-to-day basis. We would log it on a chart and say, right before Tawbih, one of the brothers would come and say, we wasted 1.2 pounds of food today, 0.9 pounds of food, 2 pounds of food today. And it was a global game to kind of try to minimize and reduce the waste on a day-to-day basis, all towards the end goal of making sure we had a green iftar and a green Ramadan. And that was one of my favorite stories, and so it also takes me to the first point, which is if something you can do and change, to go about it and change it. There are also a lot of other initiatives that we have to keep in mind, and they already work at some point, but some of them have faded and some of them need to, we want to maintain them. Things like a food pantry, to make sure that people have an opportunity, they don't have food, to come to the masjid and get food. There's the farmers market, where we have once a week, and the farmers market in Ravenna, so certain community members would go out there and hand out flyers and talk about Islam and just have general dawah, and just engage with the community. And again, this is a very, very important outreach activity. Programs for converts and reverts is very important. It's not just making dawah and encouraging people to accept Islam, but also to give them support once they are Muslims. It's not enough just to, once they say Shahada, then you just leave them and say, okay, you're Muslim, everyone is the same. There does need to be a support system to help. And there was a program in here at the masjid, and I hope that it's still going on. If it's not, that it has to be linked. And another one that's very not commonly referenced is that we also have a very forward-thinking initiative, which is a Muslim plot in the cemetery. And this is very forward-thinking that when all of us pass away, we want to make sure that we're buried in a place that is a Muslim cemetery. And if there was not this plot of land, then we would be buried wherever there was availability. But with this initiative that actually started a couple of years ago, now the Muslims in Japan actually have a plot of land where the Muslims get buried in that location. And this is a very important part of Italy in order to make sure that something like this exists. So these are some of the really, really good initiatives that I've learned about or participated in while I was here in the past couple of years. And I think of only other things that can improve and make it even better. So I encourage everyone here, as part of the community, not just sit down and passively wait for all these programs, but if there's something you think of that you can try to, that you can initiate and lead, go about it, go for it, find the right people, find the personnel, and go for it. I will talk about the third bullet point in the second one. But before taking the short break between the booklets, I wanted to remind everyone of the hadith that the Prophet told everyone that everyone is a shepherd and you're all in charge of your herd. And this applies to all of us here. So everyone has their dominion or things that they're in control of, that they have control. They are the shepherd. And only you know what these things are that you are in control of. And so you first start by fixing these things that are in your control. So if you're a parent, you have your family, your kids, your wives, your spouses. If you have siblings, you take care of your younger siblings or your extended family. There are other groups that you could in your research group and so on. Everyone has their own smaller community that you have to take care of. And when they take care of these smaller communities, the bigger, larger community in and of itself benefits. Again, we're going back to the community is as good as its individual members. And so there's no point in having a good community member who's a very bad family man or a family woman. That's not right. It's not something we want. And so you focus on yourself and your individual, and by focusing on that, by raising the good children, by raising the next generation, that will naturally lead into a better community, into a better environment for everyone. Inshallah, we'll talk about the third point. The first was focusing on improving yourself. The second was thinking about collective good instead of just individual good. And third, inshallah, was outreach. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. No community is perfect, so every community has its flaws. But I'm not going to come up here and start listing the flaws of this community, not to mention I will be leaving, so it's not very a nice way to leave either. But I will mention one particular activity that I think is lacking and really needs more effort from all the community members too. And I did mention it briefly at the end, which that is outreach. And that a lot of us might understand the importance of the community, our Muslim community, Muslim community, but confine it to that bubble and stop there. But we're not living in America. We're living in Champaign, Illinois, the United States, and there are a lot of communities around us that we have to interact with on a day-to-day basis, whether we acknowledge it or not. And it's very important to make sure that we do interact and we do operate with them on the values and basis that we believe in. So the Prophet actually gave us a parable, a story of that where you have the Muslims and the non-Muslims are on the same ship. And the Muslims are on the top floor of the ship, and the non-believers are on the bottom of the ship. And so on the bottom of the ship, they don't have access to the water. And so one person suggests, so rather than bothering the people on the top of the ship, let's just drill a hole on the bottom of the ship and get the water directly so we can benefit from ourselves. Of course, you can see where this is going. If that were to happen, not only will the ship drown and the people on the bottom of the ship will sink and die, but the entire ship will go down, not just for the bottom. And so the better thing is that the people on the top of the ship make sure that they share the water, share the access to the water. In this case, the analogy here is where the water is hidayah. And so you share this water with the people on the bottom of the boat, such that there's no need to go and mutilate the boat in order to get what you need. And at the end of the day, when both of them are working together, when both groups are working together, the ship can actually sail and reach its final destination, and everyone benefits as opposed to everyone. And so this is a parable, and we should learn from it. The idea is, yes, we aren't just our own community. There are other communities around us. There's other faiths around us, other groups around us, and we do have to interact and engage with them and make sure we build these relationships with them. And it's not just good for, you don't do it just for the sake of doing it. It's good for everyone. Your kids will be in similar schools as other communities, interacting with them. And if everyone has these ideals and these values that are shared, and people know each other, this just builds a stronger community within them. And to that, I'll mention an opportunity, which is that next week, inshallah, on July 29th, on Friday, July 29th, there's a program called Raw Tools, Guns to Garden Tools Community Gathering to End Gun Violence. And there will be a method prayer in this event. And the Sheikh asked me to remind everyone here that we want good representations from the Muslims. We don't want the method prayer to be held and no one is there. And so I encourage everyone here, myself included, to attend this event, and not just to represent, but to over-represent. We want to have our voices heard. This is how the U.S. works. This is how the government works. We want to basically make your voices heard. And this is these are some of the small ways to do it at the local level, and it will magnify the level. So with that, I wanted to take the last few minutes and thank everyone here for having me as part of the community. For everyone that I know personally or not personally, I ask everyone here, if I wronged them in any way, to please forgive me. If I did anything, to please make that for me. It's not the end of a journey. So whenever there's a chapter that ends, a new chapter begins. And so I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that whenever I were to come back here, I will come back and visit at a time when there is less oppression in this world, when the community here is at the peak of its height and power and bond and brotherhood and sisterhood. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I can see all the kids here that I've either interacted with or they're coming into the community, that they are going to be the new leaders of the Muslims and in this country. So with that, أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك اللهم لنا فيما أعطيت. اللهم لا تدع لنا في مقامنا هذا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا ضالا إلا هديته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة هي لك رضا ولنا فيها صلاح إلا أعنتنا على قضائها ويستفتح لنا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قام الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت وإلى السماء كيف رفعت وإلى الجبال كيف نصبت وإلى الأرض كيف سطحت فذكر إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر إلا من تولى وكفر فيعذبه الله العذاب الأكبر إن إلينا إيابهم ثم إن علينا حسابهم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today's announcements are Khatib Abdurrahman Mahmoud. We appreciate your effort in following the masjid safety rules, so masks and if you're sick, remain at home, make people at home. Public picnic at Lake of the Woods is tomorrow, Saturday, July 23rd, in the Elks Pavilion. Turn left as soon as you enter the park, close to the park tower. We hope to see you all. Please bring one dish or drink to share. If you have questions, call Brother Waleed, 217-819-8112, or Brother Tanweer at 217-721-4760 for more information. There is a sinkhole in the parking lot, a small one. Please be careful and watch your children. The construction at the front is going well. If you have any questions, please ask. The project is about 10 days behind due to material shortage. Raw Tools community gathering to end gun violence, as Brother Rahman mentioned, is next Friday, July 29th at 5 p.m. And there's food as well at 6 p.m. It's at the Randolph Street Community Garden, 1001 North Randolph Street, here in Champaign. Maghrib prayer will be held there at 8:15. Everyone is invited. Please represent. There are summer Quran classes for kids of all ages. See the Imam or Sheikh Khalid for more information. You can donate to the masjid using their new Venmo account at CIMIC. Look for either the QR code posted in the masjid. Lunch is gyro sandwiches. Please make go out with the family. There's a $7 donation. Jazakallah khair.
and